My dear one, listen closely tonight. I truly believe with all my spirit that you are not here by mistake. You didn't happen upon these words by luck. You didn't reach this very moment through coincidence. God Himself directed your steps. And here's why He desires to speak something that could completely shift the direction of your life. God is guiding you towards someone who already loves you deeply. You may not perceive it yet. You may not sense it right now. But heaven is carefully aligning your path. God is arranging, shaping, and preparing you for a relationship that won't just touch your emotions. It will reveal that His presence has been covering you all along. Some of you listening feel forgotten. You've been hurt. You've been rejected. You've been left out. You've wondered if anyone could ever truly embrace you as you are. You've carried the weight of loneliness like a stone pressing on your chest. And in the quietest hours of the night, when no one else noticed your tears, you whispered, "Does anyone see me? Does anyone care?" I tell you with confidence, God saw you, God heard you, God loved you, even in that silent moment. And now He is leading you to someone who already loves you. Not for what you can provide, not for your success, not for your appearance, but for who you are in His eyes. The world has trained us to pursue affection, to chase acceptance, to crave validation. But hear me clearly. When God leads, you don't have to run after it. You only need to follow. When God prepares, you don't have to plead. You simply need to trust. When God sends the right person into your life, you will never have to fight for their love. It will already be present. God is never the author of confusion. When He sends His chosen one, it will not come with anxiety, but with peace. So many of you have spent years chasing those who never saw your worth. You've poured your heart into hands that couldn't hold it. You've loved people who could not love you back. But let me tell you the truth. Rejection is not your ending. It's God's redirection. Every no you heard was never punishment. It was protection. Every closed door wasn't God forsaking you. It was His mercy shielding you from what was never meant to carry your heart. He's been shaping you for someone who already holds the love He designed for you. Human affection can be fleeting, shallow, or conditional. But the love God places in the right soul for you is steady, it's sincere, it's enduring. And when you finally step into that divine connection, you'll see that every delay, every heartbreak, every silent season is leading you here. God never makes mistakes. He knows who belongs in your story. And if you'll trust His pace, if you'll trust His direction, He will exceed your expectations. Some of you have been wrestling with God's silence. You've asked, why hasn't He answered yet? Why am I still alone? Remember, this silence doesn't mean absence. Silence means preparation. God is composing a masterpiece beyond what your eyes can yet see. And before He brings someone into your life who already loves you, He first teaches you to see yourself through the love He already has for you. He must first mend the wounds of your past, so that when this love arrives, you don't destroy it with your fears. God is a God of divine order. He is shaping you just as He is shaping them. Let me speak to your spirit now. Do not compromise. Do not shrink your standards to fit someone else's story. Do not trade your value just to escape loneliness. Because if you force yourself into what isn't meant for you, you might overlook the one God has already designed for you. The right person, the one heaven is preparing, will not belittle you, will not make you question your worth, will not crush your heart. They will carry a love that mirrors the gentleness and faithfulness of God Himself. And here lies the wonder of it all. This person already loves you. Before the meeting, before the greeting, before the first glance, their heart is already drawn toward you. Do you know why? Because God has already written you into their destiny. He has already whispered your name in their spirit. He has already planted in them a readiness to love the one He will send. You won't have to earn their affection because it will already align with God's intention. When God declares He's leading you to someone who already loves you, it means you are not stepping into manipulation. You are not stepping into confusion. You are not stepping into deception. You are stepping into confirmation. A divine confirmation that God's hand has been guiding your story all along. A confirmation that His purpose for you includes companionship, unity, and love that glorifies Him. But hear me clearly, dear heart. The enemy will always try to distract you before the promise. He will always send imitations before the genuine. He will tempt you to reach for what looks perfect on the outside but is hollow within. And if you are not grounded in God's wisdom, you may mistake fleeting attraction for eternal love. That's why you must stay anchored in prayer, rooted in faith, and patient in waiting, so that when God brings the person who already loves you, your spirit will instantly recognize them. You don't have to pretend to be worthy of their affection. You don't have to chase, perform, or beg. True love, the kind ordained by God, finds you where you are, embraces you as you are, and grows with you into everything you were meant to become. That is the love God is preparing for you. Some of you feel undeserving. You whisper, "I've failed too many times. I've been shattered. I'm too damaged." Let me assure you, God doesn't lead according to your history. He leads according to His destiny. He isn't limited by your shortcomings, nor shaken by your scars. The person He's guiding you toward will not judge your past. They are already equipped to love you wholly. You are not too broken to be cherished. You are not too far gone to be chosen. You are not excluded from the promise God has prepared. Lift your chin, square your shoulders, walk in faith, because even now, as you hear these words, God is aligning your path. He is arranging divine encounters. He is setting in motion the very course that will lead you to the one who already loves you. And when it unfolds, you won't need to plead for a sign from God. You will know because peace will settle over it, because the confirmation will be undeniable, because love will not only be spoken, it will be demonstrated. It will be steady, it will endure, and perhaps right now you feel unprepared. Maybe fear still lingers from the pain of the past. That's all right. God is patient. He is tending to your heart. He is healing wounds you didn't realize still lingered. And when the moment comes, He will bring this person not to fill your emptiness, for God alone completes you, but to complement you, to walk beside you, to journey with you as both fulfill the purpose He's written. There's something vital to understand about how God operates. He doesn't join lives through chaos. He doesn't let His children drift without direction. Every encounter, every crossing of paths, every divine meeting is part of His grand design. God is never careless. He is deliberate. And if He's guiding you to someone who already loves you, then even the painful chapters of your past were pieces of your preparation. Consider this: the tears you cried in isolation, the long nights when loneliness felt like a crushing weight, were not in vain. They were nourishing the soil of your future. God was softening your heart, refining your spirit, teaching you compassion, so that when love arrives you will value it deeply. The rejections you experienced were not failures. They were shields. God was protecting you from hands that were never meant to hold you. And the silence you endured wasn't abandonment. It was training. Training your ears to hear His voice, your heart to discern his will, and your faith to trust him completely. God is not sending just anyone. He is not leading you into another season of heartbreak. He is guiding you to someone. He has prepared someone whose heart already carries love for you, whose spirit already harmonizes with yours before your paths even meet. This isn't the shallow affection of fleeting emotion. It's the deep connection of divine orchestration. But here's a truth many overlook. Before you can recognize the one who already loves you, you must first learn to recognize the hand of God. If your eyes are fixed only on your desires, appearances will deceive you. If your ears are tuned to the noise of the world, you'll miss the gentle whisper of his direction. But if you stay rooted in him, if you learn to hear his still small voice, you'll discern the difference between imitation and authenticity. God will never guide you into confusion. He will never lead you toward destruction. His way may test your patience, but it will always guard your heart. And so I say to you, wait. Do not run ahead of God. Do not cling to what is simply available because you fear being alone. Loneliness is dangerous, for it can make you settle for less than what God has destined for you. But if you can remain steadfast in the waiting, if you can trust that God is orchestrating something far greater than what your eyes can see, then when the appointed time arrives, your patience will overflow into blessing. The one who already loves you will not merely appear. They will align with your life so perfectly that it will feel as though God himself designed that space for them from the very start. Many of you have whispered, God, send me someone who will truly love me, and then wondered why it has not yet come to pass. Could it be that God has already said yes, but is still preparing the introduction? You see, timing is everything. If you meet too early, you may not yet be ready. If you meet too late, your hope may fade. But God's timing is flawless. He knows the exact moment when both hearts are refined and ready. He knows the season when your paths will intersect and destiny will unfold. Some of you struggle to believe this because of what you've endured. You say, but I've been betrayed. I've been abandoned. How could love still exist for me? My dear friend, God does not work within the limits of your pain. He moves through the abundance of his power. Your wounds do not disqualify you. In truth, they are the very marks that make your love richer, stronger, and more genuine. The one who already loves you will not recoil from your scars. They will see them as the evidence of endurance, as living proof of the resilience God has built within you. Now let me take you deeper. The love God is preparing for you isn't simply about companionship. It's about purpose. God never unites two souls without reason. He doesn't connect lives merely for comfort. He connects them for calling. The one he's preparing for you will not only love you, but sharpen you. They will challenge you, uplift you, and inspire you to walk boldly in the fullness of your divine assignment. And you will do the same for them. Together, your union will stand as a radiant testimony of God's unwavering faithfulness. That's why you must never compromise. That's why you cannot settle. Because if you bind yourself to the wrong person, you'll drift away from your divine path. But if you trust God's direction, he will give you not just love, but alignment. He will send someone whose purpose complements yours, whose strength supports you, and whose faith draws you nearer to him. That is the kind of love worth waiting for. Let me remind you once more, this person already loves you. Even now, while you wonder if you've been overlooked, someone is lifting a prayer for you. Even now, while you question whether love still exists, someone's heart is already stirred with thoughts of you. God has planted seeds within their soul, just as He has within yours. And when the divine moment arrives, those seeds will bloom into a love that feels less like discovery and more like remembrance. It will feel as if you've known them forever. That is how God works. His connections are never built on coincidence, but on divine intention. Can't you see? Every step of your journey has been carried by the hand of God. And if He has carried you this far, will He not finish what He began? Will He not fulfill the promise He once breathed into your soul? Do not allow fear to silence His assurance. Do not allow impatience to steal His perfect timing. He is faithful, and even now He is guiding your path. Some of you are wondering, what should I do while I wait? The answer is simple yet sacred. Draw near to God. The nearer you are to Him, the clearer His direction becomes. The more your heart aligns with His will, the more equipped you become to recognize the one He has chosen for you. Do not waste your waiting in despair. Spend it in preparation. Build your character. Strengthen your faith. Allow your heart to heal. Because when the right person arrives, you will want to love them in the way God intended. Remember, love is not defined by what you receive, but by what you offer. And if you're asking God to lead you to someone who already loves you, then prepare yourself to already love them too. Let your heart remain tender. Let your patience stretch. Let your faith grow deep, so that when destiny unfolds, you'll embrace it with open arms instead of clenched hands. How many lives have been wasted chasing what was never meant to endure? How many hearts shattered because people ran ahead of God? But that doesn't have to be your story. You can choose to wait. You can choose to trust. You can choose to believe that God has something greater than what your eyes can see. And when you make that choice, when you rest your soul in His perfect timing, you will stand in awe of what He reveals. Because here's the truth. The love that comes from God's hand is not fragile. It is not fleeting. It does not depend on the circumstances. It is rooted in His will. And what's rooted in God cannot be shaken. That is the love He is preparing for you. That is the person He is leading you toward. Not one who will merely walk beside you, but one who will walk with you toward Him. There comes a point in every journey when the silence of waiting feels unbearable. You glance around and see others finding love, others being chosen, others walking hand in hand, while you feel left behind. And in that quiet ache, doubt whispers, maybe it will never happen for you. Maybe you're meant to be alone. But I declare to you now, with unwavering faith, those are not the words of God. Those are lies born of despair. God has not missed you. He has not forgotten you. He has not abandoned you to loneliness. He is leading you. And His leading is never without purpose. When God directs your steps, He's not merely thinking of your comfort. He's thinking of your calling. He is crafting something that transcends temporary connection. He is forming a union that will mirror His faithfulness. You see, love from God's hand is not about filling an empty seat at your table. It's about filling your life with someone who reflects His care, His strength, His endurance. This person is not just meant to love you. They are meant to walk with you into the fullness of the destiny God has already written for your life. And here is the astonishing truth. While you sit here wondering, while you sit here longing, somewhere out there, someone is already carrying love for you within their heart. They may not yet know your face. They may not yet know your name, but even now they are being shaped by the hand of God. Their story is being written to intertwine with yours. Their path is being directed toward your path. And when that intersection happens, it will feel as though the two of you were always destined to meet because you were. Never underestimate the precision of God's orchestration. He doesn't randomly place two lives together and hope it works out. He aligns them with intention. He nurtures them. He plants within them the capacity to love with endurance, the grace to withstand storms, the humility to forgive, and the courage to remain when others would flee. That is why waiting matters. Because if he gave you this person before you were both ready, neither of you could sustain the beauty of that love. But when the appointed time arrives, both hearts will have been molded by God's hand in such a way that your love will not merely survive. It will flourish. Delay with denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it never will. God's pauses are not rejections. They are preparation. And while you wait, he is teaching you the sacred art of trust. Because if you can trust him in the silence, you will trust him in the fulfillment. And trust is the cornerstone of divine love. The person God is preparing for you is not being sent to replace him in your life, but to walk beside you as both of you continue to follow his lead. Let me speak directly. You cannot afford to let bitterness take root in your heart while you wait. Bitterness blinds your vision. It distorts your faith. It makes you cling to the past when God is offering you a future. If you desire to be ready for the one who already loves you, you must release those who couldn't. Do not carry yesterday's wounds into tomorrow's promise. God cannot fill hands that are still holding what is broken. Lay it down. Surrender the disappointment. Let go of the pain. Place it all in his hands. Only then can he release what he has been preparing for you. And hear me clearly. The one God sends will not enter your life as a test, but as a blessing. You will not have to question your worth. You will not have to beg for commitment. You will not have to chase their affection. Their love will already be present, steady, faithful, and sure. It will not ask you to change who you are. It will celebrate who you are while guiding you toward who you are becoming. That is the wonder of God's timing. That is the safety of his divine plan. And now, let me take you deeper. Love is not merely the union of emotions between two people. It is the movement of God's purpose through them. That is why you cannot settle for anything less than his will. The one he is guiding you toward will not only know how to hold your hand, but how to cover you in prayer. They will not only share your laughter, but stand firm beside you in the battles. They will not only rejoice in your triumphs, but help lift you through your trials. Because God never places someone in your life simply to occupy space. He sends them to strengthen your purpose. And make no mistake, this kind of love is rare. It is not built on the shallow patterns of the world. It is formed through the timeless wisdom of God. That is why you must keep your gaze fixed on him, for the enemy will try to distract you with illusions. He will send counterfeits that look appealing but lack substance. He will whisper that you cannot wait any longer, that you should settle for what is convenient instead of what is divine. But if you resist the urge to hurry, if you stay rooted in the promises of God, you will see the clear line between fleeting affection and everlasting love. My friend, God is truly leading you. This isn't wishful thinking, it's divine reality. Every day that you walk by faith, every day that you trust His timing over your own impatience, He is aligning your path with someone who will not merely step into your story, but stay. Someone who will not view you as an option, but as an assignment. Someone who will not love you for what you bring, but for who you are. That kind of love cannot be created by human effort. It is breathed by God Himself. Do not be surprised when the day comes and everything suddenly fits together. The broken pieces of your past will align with purpose. The rejection you suffered will be seen as redirection. The long tearful prayers will be revealed as preparation. And before you will stand the one who already loves you, someone your spirit will recognize instantly. It will feel as if God Himself is saying, "This is the one I have prepared for you," and peace will wash over your soul. But until that day arrives, walk faithfully and live fully. Do not place your life on pause while you wait. Keep growing, keep serving, keep trusting God in every season. Because love is never found in desperation, it is discovered in destiny. And when God ordains destiny, nothing can hinder it. Let this truth take root in your heart. The love God designs for you is not fragile. It is not uncertain. It is not conditional. It is anchored in something far deeper than human emotion, anchored in divine wisdom. When God authors love, it is not tossed by the winds of circumstance or crushed under the weight of trials. It is upheld by the very one who created it. That is why you must not judge God's plan by human disappointment. Human failure cannot cancel divine purpose. God has not changed His mind about you. What He promised He will complete. You must begin to see yourself the way God sees you. Too many people walk through life believing they are undeserving of love, believing they are too flawed, too broken, too forgotten to ever be chosen. But if you could see yourself through the eyes of God, you would realize how deeply you are cherished. You are valuable. You are worthy of a love that lasts. God does not make errors, and He certainly did not make one when He created you. The person He is leading you toward has already been given the vision to see you this way, not through the filter of your failures, but through the truth of your worth. But understand this, before God places that person in your life, He often allows a season of separation from those who were never meant to remain. The departure of people who failed to value you was not rejection, it was divine redirection. God cannot release the right one into your life if you are still holding on to the wrong ones. Every ending you thought would destroy you was actually clearing room for the new beginning He designed for you. Do not grieve endlessly over what God has taken away. Rejoice in the space He has opened, for it is being prepared for something far greater. And here lies a truth many overlook. The one who already loves you is not waiting to be persuaded. They are waiting to be revealed. God does not manipulate love. He orchestrates alignment. That is why patience is essential. Because just as you yearn for someone who will love you sincerely, they are yearning too. They are praying. They are believing. They are waiting just like you. And in God's perfect moment, waiting will turn into meeting and longing will turn into fulfillment. Think of how astounding that is. Somewhere even now, someone's life is being molded, their spirit refined, their heart quietly drawn toward you. and they don't even realize it yet. That is the beauty of divine orchestration. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are being guided, and the one being guided toward you already carries a love that will feel like home. Now let me speak directly to your fear. Some of you are afraid that when love finally arrives, you will somehow break it. You worry that your past will resurface, that your insecurities will rise up, that your pain will push the right one away. But listen closely. When God leads, He also equips. He doesn't just deliver the blessing, He gives you the grace to sustain it. The person God brings into your life will not retreat from your imperfections. They will embrace them because they too have been molded by His mercy. This will not be a fragile love that collapses under pressure. It will be a steadfast love that endures the storm because it was established by God Himself. Do not let comparison rob you of peace. It doesn't matter how long others have walked together, how quickly they found their person, or how loudly they display their joy. Your path is not theirs. Your timing is not theirs. Your blessing is not theirs. God is crafting a story uniquely your own, and His timing for it is flawless. Do not measure your life by another person's timeline. God knows exactly when to unveil the one who already loves you, and His timing will always exceed what you could create for yourself. And remember this, when that person arrives, it won't be about perfection. It will be about divine alignment. You will not need them to make you whole, for God alone is your completeness. You will not expect them to mend your wounds because only God can heal what's hidden. Instead, you will walk side by side as two complete souls chosen by God to complement and strengthen each other. This is why you must keep growing in Him. The healthier your spirit becomes, the deeper your love will flourish when it arrives. But let me emphasize this truth with urgency. Do not sabotage what God is preparing by entertaining what He is not. But the enemy understands the power of a God-Ordained union, and he will send distractions, people who look promising but lack endurance, who speak beautifully but live carelessly, who seem loving but fear commitment. Do not let impatience convince you to settle for imitation. Counterfeit love always costs more than it gives. But divine love, it multiplies, it strengthens, it restores. It is the kind of love that builds and never diminishes. So guard your heart, guard your faith, guard your waiting. Because when God's appointed time comes, everything will become clear. Every tear will have meaning. Every rejection will reveal its purpose. Every question will find its answer, and you will see for yourself that God was never silent. He was strategic. He wasn't withholding. He was preparing. He wasn't punishing. He was protecting. Can you imagine the day you finally encounter the one God has prepared for you? It won't feel like the beginning of uncertainty. It will feel like the continuation of something eternal. Your spirit will recognize theirs, and theirs will recognize yours. And you will realize that while you were waiting, God was weaving. While you were hoping, God was aligning. While you were praying, God was answering. That is the power of His divine leading. And this is why you must remain steadfast, because love that comes from God is never rushed. It is revealed. It is not taken. It is given. It is not demanded. It is discovered. And when you find it, you will know beyond all doubt that it could only have come from Him. Lift your faith higher tonight. Refuse to believe the lie that you've been forgotten. Refuse to accept the thought that your story has ended. He is still moving. He is still orchestrating. And the one who already loves you is not far there in His hands, being prepared just as you are. Trust His process. Trust His timing. For when it unfolds, you will witness the beauty of a plan that could only have been crafted by God. There are moments when loneliness weighs so heavily upon the soul that it feels as if God has overlooked your name in the story of love. But my friend, God never forgets you. He never abandons you. He is not deaf to the quiet cries that rise from your heart's hidden chambers. The same God who stretched out the heavens knows the deepest longing within you. And even now, he is weaving together the unseen threads of your life to bring you face to face with the one who already holds a love that reflects his goodness. Because true love does not begin the day two people meet. It begins in the heart of God. Love begins in the heart of God, planted long before eyes ever meet or hands ever touch. That is why I say with absolute confidence, God is leading you to someone who already loves you. The world may try to convince you that love must be chaste, that you must strive, manipulate, or compromise your worth to find it. But listen carefully to this truth. What comes from God cannot be taken by force, nor can it be weakened by delay. The one he has prepared for you does not need to be persuaded to see your value. They already love you with a love that has grown through prayer, through patience, through the quiet process of surrender in their own soul, where they too have cried out to God. And God, who hears both hearts, has been arranging the moment when paths will intersect, when prayers will take on form, and when love once unseen will become visible. Do not confuse waiting with being forgotten. The waiting season is holy. It is not wasted. God uses it to shape your heart, purify your desires, and strengthen your faith, so that when he brings this person into your life, you are ready to embrace the gift without fear, without insecurity, without the echoes of your past overshadowing your present joy. Many miss this truth because they mistake delay for denial. But if God delays, it is never out of neglect. It is because he wants the promise to arrive in its perfect time, when it will shine brightest and endure longest. And understand this, when God says he is leading you to someone who already loves you, it's not just about romance, it's about alignment with his divine plan. The one he is preparing will not only love you through words or fleeting emotions, but through actions anchored in faith, through sacrifice born of devotion, and with loyalty that remains unshaken by trials. This is not a shallow affection that fades when seasons shift. This is a love born from the reverence of God, a love that recognizes the sacred duty of cherishing what he entrusts. When such a person loves you, they are not merely drawn to your smile or your success. They are drawn to the soul God placed within you. And that kind of love does not fade with time. There will be moments when doubt whispers, "What if I am not worthy of such love?" But let me assure you, if God has written this blessing into your story, your worth is already settled. You don't earn love by striving. You receive it because God, in his mercy and wisdom, has declared you deserving of it. Stop replaying your past mistakes. Stop condemning yourself for old failures. Stop believing the lies that say you are unlovable. God has already appointed someone who will see beyond your scars and recognize the treasure within you. And when God reveals that person, you'll finally understand why every disappointment, every heartbreak, every sleepless night was necessary. Because all of it was preparing you to cherish the love he was sending your way. I must speak this with urgency. Do not ruin what God is building by settling for imitations. Too many hearts grow weary in the wait and grab hold of anything that glitters, mistaking attention for love, attraction for devotion, and companionship for destiny. But listen closely. When love is from God, it will never ask you to shrink yourself. It will never require you to compromise your faith. It will never demand that you sacrifice your dignity. The one God is guiding you toward will honor you because they first honor Him. They will protect you because they understand you are a sacred trust from the Almighty. They will treasure you not for what they can gain, but for what they can give. That is the contrast between human desire and divine intention. So lift your head and walk in faith. When you feel overlooked, remind yourself that God is still writing. When you feel forsaken, remind yourself that God is still guiding. When you feel unworthy of love, remind yourself that God is still preparing. God's promises are never empty, and His timing is never slow. The one who already loves you is being refined by the same God who is refining you. And at the appointed moment, your paths will cross, and you will witness with your own eyes what your heart has always believed, that God is faithful, and His love never fails. Every story of divine guidance carries a season of waiting, but every testimony of His provision bursts with joy. Yours will be no exception. One day you will look back on this chapter of uncertainty and thank God for not allowing you to rush, for not allowing you to settle, for not allowing you to surrender too soon. You will see that His timing was flawless, His choice was perfect, and His plan far greater than anything you could have imagined. God is leading you, and He is leading you well. Trust Him, for the one who already loves you is also trusting Him, waiting, praying and longing for the moment God weaves your lives together under His divine blueprint. And now, with all the conviction of truth, let me remind you, do not doubt what God has already spoken over your life. He has written your story with purpose. He has not forgotten you. He has not abandoned you to wander without direction. He is leading you step by step towards someone who will not only stand beside you, but will love you with a love planted in their heart by God Himself. That love will not be temporary. It will not be shallow. It will not be fragile. It will be rooted in the eternal strength of the one who is love itself. Do not let fear steal your confidence. Do not let impatience drive you to grasp what was never meant for you. Do not let the pain of the past cloud the blessings of your future. The hand of God is steady. His plan is perfect, His timing is sure, and when He brings you face to face with the one He has prepared, you will realize that every tear, every prayer, and every sleepless night was not wasted. It was His way of shaping you to receive what only divine wisdom could design. Hold on, my friend. Stand firm in faith. Lift your heart in trust. For the day is coming when you will look back and say, surely God has been faithful. Surely God has led me well. And in that moment, you will understand that all along God was not guiding you toward confusion or despair, but into the embrace of someone who already loves you. Because it was God Himself who placed that love within them. And when that love finally meets you, it will mirror His own pure, steadfast, and everlasting. My friend, hear me clearly. You are standing at the edge of a divine turning point. You may not perceive it with your eyes or sense it through emotion, yet deep within your spirit, you know that God is about to move powerfully in your life. Something is shifting in the unseen realm. A trembling is stirring in the atmosphere, because when God decides to move, No force of darkness, no wall of resistance, no storm of adversity can stand in his path. You may have endured seasons of silence, seasons of waiting, seasons when it felt like heaven forgot your name. But I tell you this, with every ounce of faith within me, God has been preparing something extraordinary, something greater than you ever envisioned, and it's about to be revealed before your eyes. Sometimes before God acts, everything seems still. It feels quiet. It appears ordinary. But that silence is not absence. It is preparation. God often performs his most profound work in the unseen, shaping the blueprint of your destiny. When the world believes nothing is happening, know this: when the soil looks dry, roots are still expanding. When your life feels paused, God is still writing. And when it seems as though the light has gone out, God is only setting the stage for a brighter dawn. The delay is not denial. It's divine timing. The moment you've been praying, hoping, and weeping for is on its way. It might not arrive as you expect, but it will come exactly as God intends, perfect, powerful, unstoppable. There are moments in life when God steps in so suddenly, so unexpectedly, that everything changes overnight. You wake up in one reality and fall asleep in another. One prayer, one encounter, one divine instruction in the chains that bound you for years begin to break. That's how God moves. He doesn't need permission. He doesn't need evidence. He doesn't consult your past to determine your future. When God says, "Now," every obstacle that has stood in your way bows to his command. And I believe with all my heart that you are approaching that now. You are entering a moment where God himself will display his power in your story. You may say, "But I've been through so much. I've been broken, rejected, and overlooked." My friend, those are not signs of abandonment. They are signs of preparation. Before God elevates a person, he refines them. Before he entrusts you with destiny, he tests you through difficulty. Every tear you shed, every disappointment you endured, every door that closed was not punishment. It was preparation. God was removing what could not travel with you into your next chapter. The pain you felt was not wasted. The loneliness you experienced was not unseen. God was strengthening your faith, fortifying your spirit, teaching you to rely not on people but on him alone. Because when he moves in power, he wants the world to recognize that it was his hand, not yours, that brought the victory. There are seasons when God conceals you. People misunderstand you. They forget your name. You feel invisible, but that hiddenness is sacred. God hides those he intends to use greatly. He shelters them from premature exposure. He conceals them so they can develop roots strong enough to bear the weight of coming glory. The seed cannot complain about being buried because burial is not the end. It is the beginning. So if you feel buried under pressure or problems, understand this. You are not buried. You are planted. And soon what was hidden will burst forth with divine power. God is about to shift the soil, uncover the growth, and bring forth the harvest of everything you've endured. Some of you have been praying for years, praying for healing, restoration, and breakthrough, and you've asked, why hasn't it happened yet? But God's silence is never meaningless. He's been aligning situations, softening hearts, and rearranging things you couldn't perceive. You were praying for transformation, but God was increasing your ability to sustain it. He was preparing you so that when the blessing arrives, you'll have the strength to carry it. Because when God blesses, he doesn't offer something fleeting. He gives something lasting, something anchored in his eternal power. That's why he takes his time. That's why he moves according to his divine plan, not your calendar. And when his timing collides with your faith, impossibilities crumble. Understand this. The storm designed to break you became the training ground for your resilience. Every valley you pass through has been a classroom where God taught you how to stand firm while others faltered. You see, strength doesn't come from comfort. It's forged through adversity. Faith doesn't mature on mountaintops. It's cultivated in the dark when you can't see the path ahead, yet keep walking because you trust God's voice. You haven't been forgotten. You've been fortified. And that inner strength is proof that God's work in you is not done. He's not finished writing your story. In fact, the most powerful chapter is about to unfold. The same God who carried you through the storm is preparing to honor you openly for what you endured privately. When God moves, it's never ordinary. He doesn't do partial miracles or incomplete victories. When he moves, he shakes foundations and rewrites destinies. He restores years you thought were wasted. He elevates those once overlooked and humbles the proud. His movement is fierce, unmistakable, unstoppable. It's the kind of move that makes even your doubters say, surely God was with them. And this is exactly what he's about to do in your life. You've endured too much to end in defeat. You've prayed too faithfully to be forgotten now. Heaven is stirring and your name has reached the throne. God is about to reveal his strength on your behalf. My friend, there are seasons when it feels like God is quiet, yet heaven is roaring behind the scenes. You may not hear him audibly, but your spirit knows he's near. The silence isn't absence, it's divine strategy. God conceals his plans until the moment of unveiling, just like a seed growing underground, unseen but unstoppable. God is cultivating something within you that will soon astonish even you. The delay is the womb of destiny. What seems like stillness is actually the unseen activity of God beneath the surface. He's working behind the timeline of your life to fulfill the promise he planted in your heart. You've been in a season of stretching where everything felt uncertain and unclear. You've questioned, wrestled, and cried out for direction. But that stretching wasn't meant to break you, was meant to enlarge you. God has been expanding your faith because what's coming next will require a stronger, wider vessel to contain it. The blessing he's preparing for you cannot be contained by your old mindset, your former circle, or the way you used to live. He is expanding you from the inside out, teaching you to rely not on what you see, but on who he is. Because when the move of God arrives, it happens suddenly, and only those whose faith runs deep will be able to carry it. When God moves, he often does so right after you've surrendered your need to control everything. He waits until every human plan has failed, every self-made solution has crumbled, every reliance on others has reached its limit. That's when his hand shows up. That's when he reveals that he alone is the source and sustainer. God never allows his glory to be shared with human strength. He lets you reach the end of yourself so you can finally witness the beginning of him. And when he acts, you'll know beyond doubt, it wasn't your power, your intellect, or your strategy. It was his divine intervention. You may feel like you've reached a dead end, but with God there are no dead ends, only divine turns. You may believe something is finished, but with him every ending is just the doorway to a greater beginning. When one door shuts, it's because God is constructing a gate no one can lock. The roads of destiny aren't paved by people. They're carved by the hand of God. You might not understand the route you're walking, but it's leading you to something sacred. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment has been precisely orchestrated to position you where his next great move will find you. God is about to prove that every hardship carried purpose. You didn't cry for nothing. You didn't lose for nothing. You didn't suffer in vain. Everything that tried to crush you has actually refined you. You are stronger now, wiser than before, and more spiritually anchored than ever. God allowed the pain not to destroy you, but to reshape you. Because when he moves in power, he looks for a vessel that's been purified through endurance. You've been tested by storms so you could stand in glory. You've been humbled by loss so you could handle gain with grace. You've been emptied now. He can fill you. There's something sacred about waiting on God. The world calls waiting weakness, but in the unseen realm, waiting is warfare. Every time you chose to wait instead of quitting, you were waging invisible battles. You were standing firm while darkness tried to drag you down. That waiting produced an unshakable faith within you, a faith now ready to call down miracles. And that's exactly why the enemy fought so fiercely to make you give up. He knew that if you held on long enough, you would enter a season where God himself would move on your behalf. There's a divine shift taking place in the unseen. The tables are turning. The weight is lifting. What once tried to hold you down will soon become the reason you rise higher. God is rearranging what stood against you to start working for you. He's turning closed doors into divine direction. He's transforming obstacles into stepping stones. When he moves, it will be sudden. One moment you'll still be in the struggle, the next you'll be standing in breakthrough, because God's power doesn't operate in slow transitions. It manifests in divine moments. And when his time arrives, change happens instantly. You may have been mocked for your faith. People may have called you naive for holding on to faith when everything looked impossible. But soon those same voices will witness what happens when God rewards unwavering belief. God is getting ready to publicly honor what you silently endured. The same mouths that mocked your struggle will stand in awe of your breakthrough. The very ones who left you behind will realize you were never walking alone. God was beside you the entire time, guiding every step of your path. Sometimes he allows you to walk through fire so others can see that flames cannot consume what his presence protects. He lets you pass through storms so that when you emerge unharmed, people will ask, how did they survive? And you will answer, because God was my defender. Every pain you've endured has been painting the stage for a powerful revelation of his glory. God is about to turn your life into living proof that faith still moves mountains, that prayer still opens heavens, that surrender still unlocks miracles. Right now you might feel surrounded by confusion, darkness, and fatigue. But darkness is not the absence of God. It's the canvas where his light shines the brightest. When the night feels longest, it's only because dawn is drawing near. God often allows darkness to surround you so that when his glory breaks through, no one can doubt where the light came from. The pressure you feel right now is not punishment. It's prophecy. It's a sign that something divine is about to emerge. When God moves, he restores what seemed beyond repair. He breathes life into dead visions. He brings order out of chaos. He gives strength to the weary, calm to the anxious, and direction to the lost. And when he moves, he doesn't just change what's around you, he transforms what's within you. The same hands that part seas can mend hearts. The same power that formed galaxies can heal your pain. The same wisdom that designed the stars is orchestrating your next step. So lift your eyes. Stop replaying what went wrong and start expecting what God is about to set right. Expectation is the seed of manifestation. When you anticipate His movement, you align your faith with His purpose. Faith isn't pretending everything is fine, it's believing God can bring beauty out of brokenness. It's standing in the middle of the storm and declaring, I still trust God. And when you carry that kind of faith, heaven responds. God cannot overlook a heart that refuses to surrender. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not behind. You are exactly where God needs you, in the stillness before the divine shift. The air is thick with destiny. The season is ready. Heaven is about to respond to your perseverance. You have fought unseen battles. You have survived nights that tore your soul apart. But the one who sees everything has counted every tear, and not one has been wasted. God is about to turn your sorrow into strength, your loss into overflow, your silence into song. Prepare yourself, because when God moves in power, He does not seek approval from people. He doesn't ask permission to bless you. He doesn't check who supports you or who believes in you. When He moves, He bypasses every human system and touches your life personally. He can lift you from obscurity to influence in an instant. He can turn your deepest weakness into your loudest testimony. He can transform the hearts of those who once dismissed you into hearts that now support you. That is the magnitude of His movement. It alters everything, and when it happens, you realize that every ounce of pain carried purpose. The silence was sacred. The waiting was holy. Every step of your journey was orchestrated by divine intelligence. And now the season of fulfillment is near. You will soon stand amazed at how every piece fit perfectly together. Not by luck, not by your strength, but by the sovereign hand of God. There comes a sacred turning point in every person's life when the atmosphere of the Spirit begins to shift. It starts gently, like the whisper of wind before a storm. Yet your soul feels it. You sense that something divine is approaching unseen hands, rearranging the details of your story, and you realize that none of your pain was wasted. My friend, that moment is now. God is aligning heaven and earth for your transformation. He isn't merely preparing to give you what you ask for. He's preparing you to become the kind of person who can sustain what He's about to release. Before every mighty move of God comes a season of inner awakening. It's the time when things that once fascinated you no longer hold the same weight. It's when restlessness stirs within you, not because you are lost, but because elevation is calling. God disrupts your comfort when He's preparing to move you into higher purpose. That divine discomfort isn't confusion, it's motion. It's heaven stirring something new inside you. The reason you no longer fit where you once belonged is that your spirit has expanded beyond its old boundaries. God is stretching you for something greater. When He is about to move powerfully, He first sets you apart. He draws you away from noise, distractions, and influences that would drown out His direction. You may not understand why certain people left or why familiar doors suddenly closed, but every separation hides a blessing. God removes what could interfere with His purpose. Sometimes He isolates you to amplify His voice. The silence you feel isn't emptiness, it's construction. He's building strength where weakness once ruled. He's planting calm where fear used to dominate. He's refining your focus so that when he speaks, you'll recognize his voice instantly. You must know this. God never wastes time. Every delay has intention. What feels like waiting to you is working to him. When you feel overlooked, you're actually being perfected. You are being shaped into a vessel capable of carrying glory without cracking. Because when God moves in power, he pours out blessings that require maturity to sustain. The weight of his favor can crush the unprepared. That's why he strengthens you in seasons of secrecy. So when he finally lifts you, you'll stand firm beneath the weight of destiny. Many pray for the movement of God, but resist the process that precedes it. They long for the blessing without the breaking, the promotion without the preparation. But God's order has never changed. He builds before he blesses. The foundation must be deep before the structure can rise high. So if your life feels like it's been a construction zone, it's because God is strengthening your foundation. He's pouring spiritual concrete beneath your steps so that when he elevates you, you'll remain steady no matter how high you climb. When God moves, he doesn't just alter your surroundings, he renews your perception. You start to view life through divine clarity. What once triggered anxiety no longer unsettles you. What once appeared impossible now seems inevitable. You begin to trust his plan even when you can't trace his hand. This is the sign of those who've been prepared for a divine shift. Their faith becomes unbreakable, their peace untouchable. Their hearts stay calm in the storm because they've learned that God's hand is active even when his presence feels hidden. There are signs that a mighty move of God is drawing close. One of them is divine restlessness. That stirring inside, whispering, "There's more." Another is divine dissatisfaction. When mediocrity that once felt comfortable now feels unbearable, you start craving deeper purpose, greater discipline, and closer intimacy with God. You sense an urgency to pray harder, think higher, and walk in obedience. That isn't coincidence. It's calling. God is positioning you for transformation. He's awakening dormant potential within you, so that when his power moves, you can step into it with confidence. When God moves powerfully, he begins in you before he acts for you. He works within your thoughts, your heart, and your pattern. He uproots fear, pride, and doubt, because those cannot survive where his glory dwells. He rearranges your desires so that what once enticed you now feels empty. He makes you hunger for holiness instead of applause, for purpose instead of pleasure. That inner purification is the first evidence that his mighty move has begun. The heart that fully surrenders becomes the battlefield where victory is first secured. You see, the greatest move of God in your life won't come through what he gives, but through who he shapes you to become. Blessings without transformation turn into burdens. But when God renews your heart, even your pain gains purpose. You start thanking him for things you once resented because now you recognize their reason. You realize rejection was protection, loss was redirection, and delay was development. Every tear watered the soil of your destiny. Every setback strengthened your spirit. And now, because of all that, you are ready. God is about to release what has been held back. There are promises written in your destiny waiting for the appointed moment to unfold. That moment is almost here. Doors once sealed are about to swing wide. Hidden opportunities are about to surface. God is aligning divine connections with people who carry keys to your next level. He's bringing order to the chaos that once overwhelmed you. He's clearing your path, removing unseen traps, and hidden dangers. The same power that commands galaxies is now guiding your steps. You're walking into a divine setup designed by the very hand of God. God often starts his greatest works in silence. The seed of transformation is planted quietly before it grows into greatness. You may not yet see the full picture, but that doesn't mean he isn't working. What feels like stillness is often the most sacred stage of divine activity. Beneath the surface, God is generating momentum. Every prayer you've whispered, every act of faith, every tear you've shed, all of it has been stored in the unseen, waiting for God's appointed moment. And when that moment arrives, everything will align in ways human logic could never explain. You must stay expectant. Faith without expectation is empty. Expect God to move. Expect the impossible to become reality. Expect the shift you've been praying for. Expect peace that surpasses understanding. Expect strength, clarity, and divine favor. When expectation meets God's timing, miracles are conceived. And when he sees that your heart is ready, he releases what your faith has been holding in place all along. The move of God is not always thunderous. Sometimes it comes as calm in the middle of chaos. Sometimes it appears as sudden courage when you're ready to quit. Sometimes it's an opportunity disguised as an obstacle. But if you stay spiritually alert, you'll recognize the fingerprints of God everywhere. His presence doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it quietly transforms everything around you steadily, gently, powerfully. Don't let fear block what God has prepared for you. Fear is the enemy's final weapon before breakthrough. Right before the door opens, fear whispers that you're not worthy, not ready, not enough. But if God has chosen you, no power in creation can disqualify you. What he ordains, he sustains. What he begins, he completes. So stand firm in faith. Lift your eyes. Remind your soul that God is not finished with you. He's only beginning. Your faith has not gone unnoticed. Your prayers have not disappeared into silence. Every moment you remain steadfast when it was hard has reached heaven's throne. And now the season of manifestation is near. You will witness the fruit of your perseverance. You will see beauty rise from the ashes of your pain. You will understand why the road was rough. It brought you to this exact moment where God is about to move mightily on your behalf. There comes a moment in every believer's journey when the ordinary turns divine. When what looked like just another day becomes the day, everything shifts. You may not notice the signs at first, but when God begins to move, the very atmosphere starts to change. Things that once resisted you begin to yield. Paths once blocked suddenly open. People who once overlooked you begin to notice you, not because you gained strength, but because God turned his hand toward your life. When his hand moves, everything under his authority responds. Mountains crumble, doors swing wide, hearts soften, and impossibilities turn into reality. You are standing on the edge of divine momentum. God has been aligning moments, conversations, and circumstances behind the scenes to bring about a transformation that will testify of his power. He's moving pieces you can't see, influencing hearts you don't know, and setting the stage for the fulfillment of his promises in your life. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was part of his design. You thought you were waiting on God, but he was perfectly positioning everything for you. When God moves mightily, he moves in ways human logic can't predict. He doesn't operate by earthly reasoning. He establishes his own. When people expect him to work through strength, he uses weakness. When they expect him to move through plenty, he uses lack. When they expect him to work through open doors, he creates a path where no door even exists. His power is never confined to what's available. His power manifests what is required. You may not understand how it will unfold, but that's because your sight is limited to the visible. God operates beyond the boundaries of sight, sound, and time. Remember, when God moves, it's not only to transform what you have, it's to transform who you are. His mighty movement always begins within your heart before it appears in the world around you. That's why he draws you into sacred moments of stillness and surrender moments where you must release control and simply trust. Because when you yield to God, you create space for his strength to replace your weakness. You allow his wisdom to overtake your confusion. You exchange your imperfect plans for his flawless design. And when you reach that place of complete trust, his movement in your life becomes unstoppable. Too often people seek the movement of God in the dramatic and the spectacular. They crave thunder, visible miracles, and grand displays that capture attention. Yet many times God moves in quiet ways through the subtle peace that fills your heart after the storm, through the calm whisper that reminds you you are not alone, through gentle redirection that guides your steps toward destiny without noise or applause. The most powerful movements of God are not always seen. They are sensed, known, and experienced in the stillness of faith. When God begins to move, one of the first signs is divine clarity. Confusion dissolves. The fog lifts. You start to perceive what once felt impossible to grasp. You begin to understand why certain things unfolded as they did. The pieces that once seemed random start fitting together. God never moves through chaos. He brings divine alignment. He restores meaning to what felt meaningless, purpose to what was painful, and calm to what was uncertain. That newfound clarity is evidence that his hand is already at work. Another sign of his mighty movement is an inner peace that surpasses human reasoning. The world around you may appear unchanged, but you are completely transformed. You no longer react with fear. You respond with wisdom. The noise of life can't disturb the stillness inside you. That peace is not weakness, it is proof that God's Spirit reigns within you. It's confirmation that his presence is alive and governing your heart. And once that peace takes root, no external storm can uproot it. Then comes divine reversal. When God moves in power, he shifts everything. Those who once seemed ahead fall behind, and those who were overlooked rise into visibility. Situations that felt unchangeable suddenly turn in your favor. The very doors that rejected you begin to open. The very voices that doubted you begin to honor you. The very circumstances that once opposed you now work for your good. Because when God moves, he doesn't merely restore, he multiplies. He doesn't just replace, he promotes. He doesn't simply fix the broken, he builds something greater. And when that happens, understand this truth. You won't need to fight for attention or validation. The blessing of God will speak louder than words. You won't need to defend your worth because his favor will testify on your behalf. You won't have to chase opportunities because opportunities will begin to chase you. When God moves mightily, your name begins to echo in places you've never stepped into, and doors begin to open that you never even knocked on. That is the power of his hand at work. Do not underestimate what God can do in a single moment. He can overturn years of struggle with one breath. He can turn sorrow into strength overnight. He can cancel debt, restore dignity, heal hearts, and renew minds through a single word. You are not waiting on a slow process. You are waiting on a divine decision. When God declares it is time, what has held you for years will release you in an instant. That's how powerful his movement is. But remember this. Before public elevation comes private alignment. Keep your heart anchored in humility. Pride pushes away the hand of God, but humility draws it close. God raises those who stay low before him. Remain steadfast in the unseen. Stay diligent in prayer. Continue doing good even when no one notices. Keep believing even when no one stands with you. When you remain faithful in the small, God prepares you for the great. He cannot pour a mighty blessing into a heart that hasn't learned gratitude under pressure. Sometimes before God moves, he allows the tension to rise. You might feel like everything is collapsing, but that's often the sign that everything is coming together. Pressure forces out what doesn't belong. It produces growth. It forges strength. Diamonds are formed under pressure, and so are destinies. So when intensity builds, don't fear it. Recognize it as the labor pains of breakthrough. It's proof that the old season is closing and a new one is being born. God's mighty movement won't just bless you, it will flow through you. He's preparing to make your life a vessel of influence. He will use your story as a source of encouragement. The same pain that once silenced you will become the testimony that strengthens others. The very places where you were once rejected will become platforms of victory. The same tears that fell in despair will water seeds of hope for generations after you. This is how God multiplies his glory, not by giving comfort alone, but by turning transformation into illumination for others. So keep your spirit awake. Stay vigilant, for the movement of God often arrives when the world least anticipates it. It comes to the humble, the steadfast, the surrendered. It comes to those who choose faith over fear, obedience over ease, and patience over panic. It comes to those who hold on to hope when everything else fades away. God moves powerfully, not for the loud, but for the loyal, not for the flawless, but for the faithful. And when he moves, you will know. You will sense it in your spirit, your heart, and even your bones. You will wake one morning realizing the heaviness is gone. The doors that once resisted, you will open with grace. The road that once felt uncertain will suddenly feel guided. You will feel divine favor walking ahead of you, straightening what was once crooked. And you will know beyond any doubt, this is the movement of God. There are moments in life when everything feels still, when prayers seem suspended in silence, when hope flickers low, and when strength feels spent. But hear this truth: the silence of God never means the absence of God. Sometimes before the greatest demonstration of his power, God allows a deep stillness to settle, not to discourage you, but to prepare you. The quiet seasons are the training ground of faith. When it feels like nothing is shifting, that's often when God is aligning every detail behind the scenes. He is never idle. He is intentional, positioning hearts, situations, and even the winds of destiny to move in your favor. Waiting is never wasted. It's sacred preparation. Understand this: when God decides to move powerfully, he often begins by shaking everything in your life that lacks stability. What feels like loss is often his way of clearing the path for breakthrough. When people leave, when opportunities fade, when what you built starts to crumble, it's not abandonment. It's God making room for his glory to appear. He cannot fill a vessel already occupied with its own plans. He must first empty you of dependence on what's temporary, so that when he acts you'll know it was his hand and his hand alone. Many desire God's movement, but resist the transformation that precedes it. They long for blessings without surrender, expansion without pruning, triumph without submission. But God does not move mightily where hearts resist his will. His power flows through those who say, God, even when I don't understand, I trust you. That kind of surrender draws divine movement. When you release control, you create space for him to take command. When you stop resisting his process, you begin to experience his presence. So don't be alarmed if your life feels unsettled just before your breakthrough. Don't panic when doors close. God often seals what's not meant for you to open what has been destined for you. He is a God of order and his timing is flawless. Sometimes he delays to protect. Sometimes he withholds to prepare. Sometimes he conceals his hand so your faith can mature enough to hold what he's about to release. You may feel forgotten, but your name is engraved on the palm of his hand. God has not missed a single moment of your journey. He has been watching, refining, shaping, and strengthening you for the very hour when his power will surge through your life like a flood that nothing can stop. When God moves mightily, it's not always gentle, it's powerful. His movement can shake the foundations of your past. He can remove those not meant to walk with you into your next chapter. He can expose hidden motives and bring truth into the open. It may feel uncomfortable, but it's part of his divine reconstruction. When God moves, he tears up what was rooted in weakness so he can rebuild on the bedrock of faith. He dismantles what was formed in fear so he can create something pure, enduring, and unshakable. You may be standing in a battle that feels too heavy to carry, but that's a sign that God is near. You wouldn't face such pressure if something powerful wasn't about to break forth. The fiercer the warfare, the greater the breakthrough. Every trial, every delay, every sleepless night is shaping you for what God has ordained. Don't let the storm deceive you into thinking you've lost your way. When God moves, he doesn't require your strength. He requires your faith. Faith is the doorway through which his power enters your situation. Faith says, even when I can't see it, I still believe it. Faith stands tall when fear whispers, it's over. Faith stares at the impossible and declares, God can still make a way. And when you remain steadfast in faith, you give God room to turn your trials into testimonies. The mighty hand of God can rewrite your story in a single moment. Yet he's searching for hearts that will trust him even before the change arrives. Sometimes God allows you to stand at the very edge, right where it feels like there's no path forward, because that's where his power is unveiled. The sea didn't part until faith stepped forward. The mountain didn't move until belief took hold. The breakthrough didn't come until someone said, God, I know you are still able. It's in those impossible moments that his strength is revealed. God specializes in situations that the world deems hopeless. When no one remains to help you, when the road ahead feels too dark to navigate, that's when his light shines brightest. Many cry out for a miracle, but few realize that sometimes the struggle, through it, he's molding you, fortifying you, and teaching you complete dependence on him. Because when God moves powerfully, it's never just about shifting your circumstances. It's about transforming your heart. He wants you to walk differently, think differently, speak differently, and believe differently. He's preparing you to carry his presence. Don't measure God's movement by your emotions. Feelings are fleeting, but his purpose is steady. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean it's not happening. A seed must remain hidden before it breaks forth. You may not see the roots pressing through the soil, but that doesn't mean growth has stopped. In the same way, even when you can't perceive his hand, God is working beneath the surface. He's forming the miracle underground. The roots of your breakthrough are spreading deep long before the fruit appears, and when it does, it will exceed your expectations. God never moves halfway. When he acts, he restores completely. When he blesses, he multiplies. When he heals, he perfects. When he opens a door, no one can close it. The same God who carried you through your last storm will not abandon you in this one. If he sustained you before, he'll sustain you again. You may not understand how or when, but God's move is certain. It's coming with power, and it's coming at the perfect time. So keep standing, keep believing, keep declaring life when everything seems lifeless. Keep praising him even in the waiting. Because every moment you worship in the midst of pain, you are building an altar of faith that will one day become the evidence of his greatness. The very place of your struggle will become the platform of your victory. The same situation that brought you to your knees will be the one where God lifts you before the world to display what his hand can do. My friends, listen carefully. For what I'm about to share with you is more than a lesson about money. It is a message about destiny. It is about the sacred responsibility that comes with whatever God places into your hands. A time will come when God shifts your season, when the resources you prayed for, wept for, and waited for through fasting will finally flow into your life. But hear me clearly. When that day comes, when that blessing arrives, when that money enters your hands, tell no one. Because not everyone who smiles at you rejoices with you. Not everyone who applauds you does so from love. Some applaud while envy burns in their hearts. Some smile while plotting behind your back. And if you fail to master the discipline of silence during your season of increase, you may undermine the very blessing God entrusted to you. God is a God of wisdom. He blesses not only according to his will but also according to our readiness to manage it. Many of you have been praying for provision, for breakthroughs, for open financial doors. And in his perfect timing, God remains faithful to answer. Yet understand, this wealth is not merely a blessing. It is a test. It reveals your character and exposes those surrounding you. When you declare too soon what God has placed in your hand, you attract the jealousy of those who cannot stand to see you rise. You draw the greed of those who would seek to manipulate you. You invite the dark eyes of those who would rather see you bound and free. That is why God whispers to your spirit, when this money comes, do not tell anyone. Consider God's silence in certain seasons. He does not reveal every detail of his plan to everyone. For if he did, the enemy would strike before the promise could manifest. And if God himself guards his plans with mystery, how much more should you protect the blessings he has poured into your life? There is a reason he calls you to go into your room and pray in secret. Because what happens between you and him must remain sacred, untouched by human hands. The same principle applies to your wealth, your breakthrough, your increase. Protect it, for it is holy. I tell you with conviction, many suffer not because God withheld blessing, but because they revealed it too early. They spoke when they should have stayed silent. They announced to the world what was meant to be shared only with God. The moment you speak of what is in your hand, you release it into the atmosphere where envy and wickedness can find it. Do you understand? Silence is not weakness, it is protection. Silence is not fear, it is wisdom. Silence is the shield that keeps your treasure hidden until God himself decides to reveal it. God will elevate you in his time, but not everyone is ready to witness your elevation. Some will curse you in secret, some will use you. Some will pretend to care but only seek to drain you. That is why discernment is vital. That is why you must guard your harvest. When the rain of abundance falls upon your field, do not run out shouting to the village, "Come and see my crops." For the same people who witness your harvest will often come with open hands to take from it. And soon you will discover your field barren because you failed to guard what God entrusted to you. Listen closely. Money itself is not wicked. It is a vessel, a tool, a divine channel through which God's purpose can unfold in your life and in the lives of others. But money also acts as a magnifier. It amplifies your character. It exposes the heart of those near you, and it reveals the true motives of your circle. When God blesses you financially, He isn't merely enriching you. He is examining you. Will you handle it with integrity, or allow it to lead to ruin? Will you manage it with wisdom, or parade it with arrogance? Will you let your actions speak quietly, or will you boast before those secretly wishing for your downfall? That is why I remind you again, when the money comes, tell no one. God is not impressed by how loudly you can proclaim your blessing. He is concerned with how faithfully you can preserve it. What benefit is there in showing the world what you possess, if it only births jealousy, tension, and conflict? What value is there in flaunting what God gave you, only to become a target for those eager to steal it? God bestows in private, and He rewards in private. Let your abundance be seen through your discipline, through your generosity, through the quiet strength of your conduct, not through the noise of your words. Many have lost their wealth not because of foolish spending, but because of exposure. They unveil their treasures before thieves. They announce their blessings in front of wolves, and wolves will always appear when they sense weakness. Do not be naive, my friends. The enemy never attacks emptiness. He strikes where there is worth. And when God fills your life with worth, you must shield it with prayer, cover it in silence, and guard it with discernment. If you remain faithful in your quietness, God Himself will reveal your success. You won't need to boast, for your results will testify. Your peace will testify. Your growth will testify. Your family will testify. The opportunities that unfold will testify. And those who once mocked you will witness with their own eyes the work of God in your life. You don't have to declare it, for God Himself will be your declaration. My friends, there is purpose in God's silence. There is power in His command to be still and know that I am God. Because the blessings He is forming, the doors He is unlocking, the overflow He is preparing, these are far too sacred to be shouted into the ears of those who cannot perceive their holiness. God reveals in phases, not all at once, because premature revelation invites interference. And if God in His infinite wisdom conceals His works with divine secrecy, how much more should you protect the treasures He entrusts to you? When the time arrives and money flows into your hands, when your barns overflow, when the resources you prayed for finally reach you, remember this: not every hand extended toward you is extended in love. Some hands reach out to take, not to give. Some extend with flattery, not with faithfulness. Some pretend to build alongside you, yet their true aim is to drain you. That is why God cautions you when this money comes. Don't tell anyone. Because silence is your defense. Silence is your covering. Silence is your power. Do you understand why the enemy prowls so fiercely against those who prosper? Because prosperity in the hands of a faithful servant is a threat to the kingdom of darkness. Wealth in the hands of the righteous is never meant for vanity. It is meant for influence, for kindness, for uplifting others, for advancing God's divine purposes on the earth. That is why the enemy seeks to distract, expose, and lure you into announcing what should remain hidden. Because once you reveal it, you mark yourself as a target. But if you keep it in the secret place, No one can curse what they cannot see. No one can hinder what they cannot identify. No one can destroy what they do not even know exists. God does not bless you for applause. He does not raise you for attention. He does not pour into you so you can prove something to your critics. No, He blesses you because He has entrusted you with purpose. Money is more than currency. It is a mission, a divine assignment. It is a test to see if you will stay humble, disciplined and faithful when He multiplies what's in your hand. The danger is not in receiving the blessing, but in misusing it. Many who were once wealthy lost it because they flaunted it. Many who were lifted high fell because they revealed too much too soon to the wrong people. When God blesses you, there is no need to parade it before the world. Your blessing will declare itself through the transformation in your life. The roof over your head will testify louder than your tongue. The peace in your heart will speak louder than your boasting. The stability of your home will shine brighter than any announcement you could make. You don't have to convince anyone that God has favored you. Your life itself will preach that truth. Do not mistake silence for ingratitude. Thank God privately. Worship Him from the depths of your heart. Acknowledge Him as the source of every good thing. But when it comes to people, let wisdom govern your speech. Not everyone is worthy to know the details of your breakthrough. Some only love you when you're struggling, because your struggle makes them feel superior. But the moment you rise, their real hearts are revealed. If you rush to announce your blessing, you will awaken jealousy that was sleeping. You will stir envy that was hidden. And soon those you thought were for you will become those working against you. My friends, there are seasons when silence is the wisest strategy. Think of the seed hidden in the soil. It grows quietly, stretching its roots in darkness before ever facing the sunday. If it were unearthed too soon, it would wither. In the same way, the blessing God is nurturing in your life must be protected in silence until it becomes strong enough to endure the world's gaze. That money coming into your hands is not meant to be broadcast like fireworks. It is meant to be guarded like treasure. Remember this truth. Money is not your identity. Do not allow wealth to alter your character. Do not let it make you proud, boastful, or careless. Money should never control you. It should serve your purpose. And when it arrives, the greatest power you can demonstrate over it is self-control. To receive abundance and still remain humble. To be lifted yet stay grounded. To possess more yet speak less. That is true wisdom. That is real strength. And listen to me carefully. When God entrusts you with resources, it is not for you to prove your worth to skeptics. Stop trying to convince those who never desired your success in the first place. If they mocked your struggle, they will despise your rise. Do not give them the pleasure of knowing what God has placed in your hands. Instead, let them wonder. Let them see the results without hearing the declaration. Let them witness the glow without understanding the source of the oil. That is the way God operates. He conceals His greatest treasures until the appointed time. If you truly want your blessing to endure, keep it between you and God until He instructs you otherwise. Share only with those He reveals to be trustworthy. Choose your circle with discernment, because wealth in the wrong environment will not only disappear, it will destroy your peace. Guard your peace as diligently as you guard your prosperity. For what value is money without rest? What worth is wealth if you cannot trust those beside you? What good is abundance if envy robs your sleep at night? God is the giver, and He alone can take away. Do not lose what He gave through reckless exposure. Do not forfeit your harvest through prideful display. Let gratitude overflow in your heart, but let discretion rule your speech. In silence lies your safety. In silence lies your stability. In silence lies your wisdom. And when the world finally beholds what God has done, it will not be because you announced it. It will be because God himself revealed it in his perfect time. My friends, hear me plainly and urgently. The blessing God has ordained for you is sacred and weighty. When wealth flows into your life, it is far more than just provision. It is a mission, a trust, a mantle of responsibility. And the first evidence that you are ready to carry that mantle is your ability to remain silent. Silence is the tongue of wisdom. Silence is the covering of the faithful. Silence is what preserves the sacred until the appointed season. Do not be deceived when God blesses you. Not everyone will celebrate. Some will envy you, some will scheme against you, and some will secretly despise the very hand that helps them. That is why the wisdom of God still whispers, when this money comes, don't tell anyone, because your words carry power. Your announcement can attract either favor or jealousy, support or destruction. Your tongue can open doors or expose you to danger. And once the wolves know where the sheep dwell, they will not rest until they scatter the flock. Consider how God moves through creation. The sun rises daily without a trumpet sound. The rivers flow quietly without fanfare. The earth spins with grace and silence. The greatest works of God are clothed in majesty, but carried out in stillness. So why then, when God places something precious in your hands, would you hurry to announce it? You must learn to reflect the wisdom of God himself, moving with intention, with grace, and with quiet strength, until the moment is right for the world to see. And hear me clearly, the wealth that God entrusts to you is never meant to make you prideful. It is meant to make you purposeful. Money in careless hands can destroy lives, but money in the hands of one who honors God can restore families, feed nations, build legacies, and open doors of opportunity. That is why the enemy seeks to lure you into showing off what should remain sacred. The instant you expose your treasure to the wrong eyes, you jeopardize not just your wealth, but also the impact that wealth was designed to bring. Guard your circle wisely. Not everyone who dines at your table deserves to know what's stored in your barn. Some people do not sit with you because they love you. They sit to calculate your portion, to see how much you have so they can find ways to take it. That is why wisdom whispers. Stay silent. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. But never allow them to know the full measure of what God has poured into your lap. And remember, sometimes silence is not only about protecting yourself from others. It also guards your own soul. The moment you boast about what you have, pride begins to stir. The moment you display your riches, arrogance starts to take root. But when you remain quiet, when you thank God privately, when you manage his blessings with humility, your spirit stays pure and your favor remains secure. Silence is not just a defense from others. It is a safeguard for your own heart. Consider the kings and rulers of old. Their downfall often came not from lack of power but from lack of restraint. They revealed too much. They trusted too freely. They boasted too loudly. And those they trusted became the very ones who brought their downfall. Learn from their mistakes, my friends. Not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well. Not everyone who inquires about your progress genuinely cares for your success. Some are simply fishing for information, waiting to use it against you. Do not hand them the bait with your own words. When God elevates you, he does not need you to explain your elevation. The same God who lifted you will let your life itself testify. You won't need to tell anyone you are blessed. They will see it. You won't need to proclaim abundance. They will notice it. You won't have to convince anyone that God has favored you. Your peace, your growth, and your quiet confidence will make it undeniable. That is the beauty of letting God reveal you rather than revealing yourself. And take this warning to heart. If you speak too early, you can delay what God intended to accelerate. Some blessings die before birth because they were exposed too soon. Some dreams are destroyed because they were shouted into the wrong ears. Keep what God gives you covered until He commands you to uncover it. What stays hidden stays protected. What is shouted becomes exposed. The timing of God is everything. If you can trust Him in your silence, He will trust you with even greater abundance. Do not mistake your silence for a lack of gratitude. No, your silence is not ingratitude. It is wisdom. Gratitude belongs to God alone, not to the applause of people. Thank Him in private prayer. Honor Him through how you steward what He has placed in your care. Let the results of your obedience be your testimony. The world does not need your announcement. They will witness the proof themselves. And let me tell you, money is temporary, but the way you manage it carries eternal weight. God is observing whether you will treat His provision as a showpiece for attention or as an instrument for impact. He is watching to see if you will stay humble when He promotes you, or if pride will rise and destroy what He built. Your silence will reveal whether you regard His blessing as sacred or as a stage for validation. When this wealth arrives, my friends, remain covered in humility. Remain hidden in prayer. Remain rooted in wisdom. Do not crave approval from man, for human validation is unstable. It shifts like shadows. Seek only the approval of God, for His affirmation is everlasting. And if you stay faithful, if you remain disciplined, the blessing will not only arrive, it will endure. And not only endure, but multiply. And not only multiply, but outlive you, becoming a legacy for your children and your children. When God releases resources into your hands, the test will not only come through others, it will come through you. Because wealth has a voice. It speaks, it tempts, it craves attention. It draws near those who were never for you before. Wealth is noisy. It attracts both light and shadows. And if you do not answer it with wisdom, if you fail to guard your spirit with discernment, you may be consumed by the very blessing meant to lift you. That is why I remind you once again, when this money comes, don't tell anyone. Wealth in the hands of the foolish is like fire in the hands of a child. It burns, it destroys, it consumes. But wealth in the hands of one who reveres God is like fire in the hands of a master. It warms, it protects, it brings light. The difference is never in the money itself, but in how it is handled. God does not measure greatness by possessions. He measures it by stewardship, by how you manage what He entrusts to you. And one of the first proofs of true stewardship is restraint, the ability to stay silent when silence is wisdom. Let me remind you of a divine truth. Money reveals hearts. When God elevates you, you will see who was truly loyal and who merely pretended. Some will change when you prosper, not because you changed, but because your blessing exposed their hidden motives. They may smile with their mouths, but envy will glimmer in their eyes. They may cheer for you in public, but curse you in secret. That is why God instructs you to keep your treasure concealed. For if they cannot see it, they cannot envy. If they cannot measure it, they cannot plot against it. And let me make this clear. Silence does not mean selfishness. Silence does not mean you will never give, never share, and never bless. No, silence means you operate with discernment. You share with wisdom. You give where God directs you, not where people demand. You bless those whom God instructs you to bless, not those who manipulate you through guilt or charm. Because money without wisdom will turn you into a target. But money guided by wisdom will make you a vessel, a channel through which God can pour His goodness into others without exposing you to needless harm. Reflect on the wisdom of God in creation. The pearl is shaped within its shell, hidden from sight, covered and protected until its time. Gold lies deep beneath the ground, unseen until it is refined with effort. Even water, one of life's greatest resources, travels underground before it bursts forth as rivers. If God Himself conceals His treasures, why would you reveal yours before the appointed time? Do you see the pattern? The principle is woven into the very fabric of creation. What is valuable must remain hidden until maturity. When money comes into your hands, pride will try to rise within you. It will whisper, "Show them what you have. Prove your success. Let them see you no longer struggle." But that voice is not divine. It is the voice of temptation. Because the moment you start proving yourself to people, you lose sight of the one you are meant to honor. You are not accountable to people. You are accountable to God. Let your wealth exalt Him, not your ego. Let your prosperity point upward, not inward. And understand this: those who truly love you require no evidence of your blessing. They will rejoice in your peace. They will celebrate your progress. They will thank God for your increase without needing to count your coins. But those who are not for you will never be satisfied, no matter what you reveal. If you show little, they will look down on you. If you show much, they will resent you. That is why the wisest course is to reveal nothing and allow God Himself to prove the evidence of His hand upon your life. God is never careless. In His blessings He gives with purpose. If He has chosen to trust you with resources, it means He has also chosen to test you with responsibility. Your duty is not to impress others, it is to honor Him. Your task is not to prove yourself, it is to remain faithful. Your calling is not to make noise, it is to walk in quiet dignity, letting your integrity, your consistency, and your generosity speak louder than your voice ever could. Do not forget that envy is as old as humanity itself. It was envy that led to the first shedding of blood. It was jealousy that divided families, toppled kingdoms, and split nations. And envy remains alive today, still subtle, still venomous, still destructive. That is why you must not feed it with your own words. Do not give it air through your announcements. When you keep your blessing hidden, envy dies quietly. But when you expose it, envy ignites like fire and consumes the peace within your life. My friends, when you remain faithful in silence, you'll find that your life speaks louder than any declaration ever could. People will witness your stability, your growth, your calm, your joy, and they will sense something has changed. They may not know the details, but they will feel the difference, and that is enough. You do not need others to know the balance in your account. You do not need them to know the worth of your possessions. You only need them to see the radiance of God shining through your life. That light cannot be fabricated, nor can it be concealed. It will shine without you uttering a single word. My beloved friends, let us go deeper, for this message is not merely about money. It is about trust, stewardship, and the sacred duty of carrying what God has placed in your hand. Wealth is not just a resource, it is a revelation. It exposes the intentions of your heart. It uncovers the motives of those around you, and it tests your loyalty to God. Many pray for financial blessing, but few prepare for the weight that blessing carries. That is why divine wisdom declares, when this money comes, don't tell anyone, because silence is not weakness, it is protection. Silence does not mean absence of power. It preserves power. You see, money amplifies everything it touches. If your heart is pure, it will magnify generosity. If your heart is selfish, it will magnify greed. If your friends are sincere, it will magnify their loyalty. If they are deceitful, it will magnify their betrayal. Wealth does not transform character, it reveals it. That is why God often delays increase until your heart is steady, your foundation secure, and your faith deeply rooted in Him. Because if money arrives too soon, it can destroy you. But if it comes in its appointed time, it will establish you. Let me speak a truth that may sting but will set you free. People are not always joyful when you prosper. Some celebrate your struggle because it makes them feel superior. Some comfort your pain because it flatters their sense of compassion. But when you begin to rise, when God starts to promote you, that is when the true state of hearts is exposed. Some will distance themselves, some will envy, some will scheme, others will smile outwardly while cursing you inwardly. This is why God commands silence, because silence suffocates envy. Silence blinds greed. Silence safeguards the treasure until it's too deeply rooted to be shaken. Remember the wisdom of the farmer. He never exposes the seed on the first day. He buries it. He covers it. He waters it quietly. He waits until the roots are strong enough to survive the storm. If he dug it up to show it off, it would die before it ever bloomed. Likewise, your financial blessing is that seed protected in silence until it grows sturdy enough to speak for itself. Let your life be the evidence. Let your peace be the sermon. Let your stability declare the faithfulness of God without you saying a word. And understand this, the blessing of God is not given for you to prove your worth to people. You owe no explanation to those who doubted you. Their doubt is their burden, not yours. Do not waste your wealth trying to silence gossip. Do not waste your prosperity trying to justify yourself. God has already spoken for you. He is the one who lifted you, and He alone is worthy of your honor. The applause of people fades, but the approval of God endures forever. Choose the eternal, my friends. Wealth can open doors, but it can also open eyes. The more you gain, the more visible you become. The more visible you are, the more exposed you become. This is why divine wisdom says, walk in humility, walk in discretion, walk in restraint. Do not rush to display what God has placed in your care. Guard it as a sacred trust. Use it for good, but do so quietly. Bless others, but bless without attention. Give generously, but give without boasting. For the moment you boast, the blessing begins to lose its sanctity. Do not mistake generosity for carelessness. Some assume that being blessed means they must open their hand to everyone. But God did not call you to be emptied by manipulators. He called you to be guided by His Spirit in your giving. There is a vast difference between giving, because God leads you, and giving because people pressure you. If you give to satisfy demands, you will soon find yourself drained and bitter toward the very blessing God trusted you with. But when you give as God directs, your blessing multiplies, your peace deepens, and your heart remains full of joy. Let's be honest, wealth attracts takers. Just as light draws mobs, prosperity draws opportunists. They will appear as friends, as supporters, even as family. They will flatter you, cling to you, and promise loyalty. but their devotion is to your money, not your soul. Do not be fooled. Test the spirits. Watch their fruit. Notice who vanishes when you're struggling and who suddenly appears when you prosper. God will expose them to you if you stay quiet long enough to see. But here's the greater truth. You never need to announce your blessing, for God himself will make it known in his time. He will set a table before you in the presence of your enemies. He will orchestrate situations that display his favor without you saying a word. You won't have to proclaim it. His evidence will speak for itself. When peace fills your home, that will speak. When stability surrounds your household, that will speak. When you walk with quiet confidence, that will speak. And no level of gossip or jealousy will silence the testimony of God's goodness in your life. So guard your mouth, my friends. Guard your treasure. Guard your peace. When the wealth comes, lift your voice only to God in gratitude. Thank him privately. Honor him through your stewardship. Worship him in how you manage what he has given. But to the world, let your silence be your defense, for silence in blessing is wisdom. Silence in prosperity is strength. Silence in abundance is victory. And if you stay faithful in that silence, God will continue to overflow your life with blessings that no enemy, no critic, no manipulator, and no power of darkness can take from you. When God entrusts you with abundance, remember this: not every blessing is meant for public display. There is sacredness in the gifts he places in your hands, a divine trust that must be protected with reverence. Too many have destroyed the very miracles they prayed for because they rushed to display them before those unable to handle the sight of their success. Some will rejoice with you, yes, but many will envy, criticize, and secretly plot against what God has done in your life. And so when God opens the gates of provision, when this wealth flows into your hands, do not feel obligated to tell anyone. Let the miracle stay between you and God, for it is he who provided it, and it is he who will preserve it. Some treasures are too sacred to be announced from the rooftop. Remember Joseph, the son of Jacob, who revealed his dream too soon, and his own brothers plotted against him. What was meant to be a divine revelation became a source of envy and betrayal. The same truth applies to you when God blesses you with abundance, promotion, or breakthrough. Guard it in silence until God himself chooses to reveal it. Your blessing will speak for itself in his timing without you ever needing to boast. Silence is one of the strongest shields for what God is orchestrating behind the scenes. Many forget that money is more than currency. It is a test. Through it, God examines your humility, your wisdom, and your faithfulness. And if you cannot handle secrecy, if you cannot walk in discretion, you are not yet prepared for the fullness of what he desires to entrust to you. Those who flaunt what God provides invite unnecessary warfare, but those who conceal it under his covering walk in peace. Silence is a fortress, and humility is its gate. Never mistake silence for fear. Silence is power. Silence is wisdom. Silence is trusting God, knowing he will exalt you at the appointed time. When the blessing comes, let your lips offer praise to God, but keep your mouth closed before men who do not need to know. The hand of God requires no human validation. The provision of God requires no applause. When you speak too quickly, You open the door for opinions, criticism, and distractions that rob your focus and disturb your peace. Yet, when you remain silent, you protect the oil of your blessing, and that oil multiplies because it is preserved. Money reveals the hearts of people. Some will see your success and rejoice, but others will see it and turn cold. Suddenly, those who once embraced you will begin to see you differently. Some will demand, others will manipulate, and many will envy. But if you never expose it, they can never taint what God has placed in your hands. Discretion is the secret to preservation. God's provision is not given for performance, it is given for stewardship. The moment increase comes, the enemy will attempt to twist it into a trap. He will send people to exploit you, tempt you toward pride, and lure you into unwise choices. That is why divine wisdom reminds you, when this money comes, do not tell anyone. Keep it in prayer. Keep it in humility. Keep it in silence, for it is far better to surprise the world with the harvest of your faith than to invite their hands into the seed God has only just planted in your soil. God promotes in secret. God multiplies in silence. And when the appointed moment arrives, he unveils it publicly, not for your pride, but for his glory. If you move ahead of God's timing and reveal what he is still forming, you risk damaging the very foundation of your blessing. But if you wait, if you trust, if you conceal what must remain unseen, then when it blossoms, no one will be able to deny that it was God and God alone who made it happen. So guard your blessing as a shepherd guards his sheep. Protect it as a farmer shields his crop. Do not leave it vulnerable to the winds of gossip or the storms of jealousy. Keep it hidden beneath the shadow of God's wings, and let him be the one to unveil it when the season is right. Remember, not every eye is worthy to see what God has placed in your hands, and not every ear is worthy to hear what he has whispered to your heart. My beloved, let this truth sink deeply into your soul. When this money comes, when the blessing overflows into your hands, when God fulfills what he promised, guard it. Do not parade it before those who cannot bear to witness your success. Do not surrender to people what God entrusted to you in private. The blessing is not for their approval, it is for God's glory. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. Secrecy is not fear, it is stewardship. To stay quiet is to protect the sacred gift of God until the appointed time of revelation. Remember this. Money is not your master. God is your master. Money is not your safety. God is your safety. Money is not your identity. God is your identity. And when your heart clings to God above the gift will never have the power to destroy you. Wealth may fill your hands, but only God can fill your heart. And if your heart is anchored in him, no envy, no gossip, no attack can uproot what he has planted in your life. So walk in humility, give quietly, save wisely, share only when the Spirit leads. Hide what must stay hidden, for the eyes of men may hunger to see, but the eyes of God already know, and his approval is worth more than all the applause of the world. Let your success be a silent melody of gratitude. Let your abundance be a hidden testimony, and let your heart continually whisper, God, this is yours. When this money comes, do not tell anyone. Tell God alone. Thank him, honor him, trust him, and watch how he multiplies what you guard in his presence, turning your silence into strength, your humility into honor, and your obedience into unshakable blessing.